This Shabbat, the parasha, is called by Yishlach. Means to send someone. The word by Yishlach has a connotation about sending someone. And in the Torah, we are constantly sending people. You know, even the idea of the formation of Israel, that we are going to see today how Israel became Israel, it was to send. And to send with what? With a message. You know? The word melachim, that is the plural for malach, that means a messenger, but also is translated as angel. Sometimes we need to look at in the context of the scriptures what we are talking about, because God used all types of messengers, all types of circumstances, all types of situations in which He is going to deliver a message to His people. We will need to be constantly to be attentive to the message that He is going to deliver to us. This morning what I want to deal is about facing our fears. And this is a very interesting subject because all of us, in many ways, we have been facing fears. I don't know what type of phobia do you have. Some people say, I don't have any phobia, but I don't like to go into this place. You know, they're already telling you that they have a phobia, but they have not defined it about phobia. All of us, we have certain circumstances that make us timid or afraid of something. Now, depending the type of phobia, in the psychological world, that can be developing anxiety in an obsessive behavior, and the obsessive behavior even can become some type of schizophrenia, depending on the type of delusion that we can have. We need to understand one little thing that to me is important to begin with this message this morning. We are the product of our environment. We want it or not, we are the product of our environment. You can be rebellious about who you are, but the truth of the matter is that you have been formed from the moment that you were born, and you have been receiving formation, and you have been molded through the time. Then this is the problem when then later on in life you need to face your own fears, you need to face your own limitations, you need to face your own situation. You know, how do you become who you are? Many times has to do with the process in your life. You know, there are many stories about people that were born in a very difficult circumstances and they became very big people. And we know circumstances of people that were born in the most exalted situation and they became very bad people. Then the way that you were born not necessarily is going to take you to the right or wrong way. That is going to be determined in the way that you make decisions of how your life turns around. Now, this is important for all of us to understand that in the Torah, when God reveals to us, He reveals truth, He reveals principle, He reveals guidance, He reveals to us a way of life. This is the reason that the Torah also is called the living way. You know, when you say, I am a Shomer Torah, I keep the Torah. For most of the people, it means that you're a religious person. I want to eradicate that idea in all of us. It's not to be religious, it's to be obedient, and not to be obedient in the sense that to be blinded, but to do what is right in the eyes of our Creator, in the eyes of our fellow men. Then, many times, we are going to have a sense of being special for something, or we have a desire to accomplish something. And sometimes that desire is going to make us do certain things that maybe are not the best things that we can do, or is not the right way to do it. Sometimes we like to take shortcuts in life, and sometimes we're trying to be smarter than others to acquire or to achieve whatever we want to. You know, in the system of communism, you know, the end justify the means, okay? They will say, or they will use it as excuse. Well, what we want is the freedom of the people. Then, to have the freedom of the people, we need to kill everyone. You know, that was the right way to do it. I don't know, but they say my ends will justify the way they're going to accomplish. Well, in the Torah, it's totally the opposite. And this is what is a surprise. You know, not the ends justify the means. And this is a misunderstanding about what the Torah, what our Creator has revealed to us and want to teach us. But in that process, we develop, all of us, growing up, we have our own little things, our own little tricks. You know, a phobia, it is a fear to something that sometimes is unreal, that we do not really, cannot do anything to us, but we fear, and that could develop in an anxiety. Like I said to you, the anxiety could become something obsessive. Now, but how do you develop those fears? Most of the time, it's because you had an experience in an early age, you know, or something happened to you when you were growing up that created those ideas. In this parasha, this is the portion in which, do you remember the first portion in Torah talk about the relationship between Abraham Avinu, and then Isaac Avinu, and Jacob Avinu. The three patriarchs were together in line. The second one, last week, we saw specifically about how Jacob gets himself in such a hard situation. And we saw this principle, midot kenego midot. That means that measure for measures. No, that if you do something, sooner or later, you need to pay for it. And here is the outcome of all these problems that he created to himself. Now, it's very easy when sometimes we try to justify people for what they do. And it's okay. We can have certain reasons. We can have certain rights. We can say it in that way. Or we can put it in a context that we can justify ourselves for what we are doing. But the problem is, what is right is right, and what is wrong. And this is something that the Torah constantly is going to speak to us. No? Always to come to the right side. Now, Jacob, from the beginning, from the reading that we had, he came out fighting, struggling, and trying to be number one. Now, he wanted to be number one, like from the beginning. Now, the question is that the say he wanted to be number one for his own sake, or he wanted to be number one because that was the position that our Creator had given to him. Now, let's assume, only for the sake of this parasha, that he was chosen from the beginning to be number one. If that was the case, let our Creator finish his work. The question is, our Creator needed Jacob's help to be number one. The answer is totally the opposite. No. Now, there already, they can give it to us a little bit of an idea about how we train ourselves to always get ahead of what is going to come. We prepare. Next thing is, did he do anything wrong? You know, I have heard so many people who try to defend Jacob about that he didn't do anything wrong and he did it only for the greatest sake of cause, that was to follow what God had put it in his heart. I totally agree that he could have that desire. But also that desire needs to depend on one thing. And you're going to see how our faith develops, or our beliefs in God, our trust in God. You know? It's, at the beginning, we can have only a blind faith. But with the years, we need to develop a trusting faith. You know, what is the difference between a blind faith and a trusting faith? A blind faith is only that it's going to happen, and if it doesn't happen, I want to push it because I'm going to make it because that's the way. But a trusting faith, it is, I need to wait until the time is right. I need to wait until the situation is going to come according to what God has done. Well, what is happening? What happened when we push ourselves no matter what? You know, we force ourselves in a situation. You know, what is going to happen is that you are going to, or we are going to fall in a situation that most of the people are going to stop us, or they don't like that. You know, need to fall all for its own weight. And who is the one that is in charge of that? It's our Creator. Now, I don't have any doubt, because we are going to see to the rest about how special Jacob was. But also we are going to see something here that is important to understand. Jacob knew from the beginning that he did something wrong. This is important to understand in this parasha, because if you do not measure the idea in which he did something wrong, then you won't be able to appreciate this parasha and what the outcome of all of it. No. He literally imposed on his brother, even that they say that he didn't push him to do it, no? But he imposed on his brother to sell him his birthright. Now, he knew very well that he couldn't buy the birthright. The birthright cannot be bought. You know? This is something that you were born there. Now, if the oldest son doesn't like it or doesn't want to take it, that's his privilege. But he didn't need to go to the force him. You know, I only feed you if you sign the paper. Okay? Now, secondly, he knew that his brother was not up to the position or to be the leader or the continuation of Abraham Avinu. No? But what happened? No? Was his role to make that decision, or was God's role to make that decision? You know, from the beginning, we need to see this very important principle in the Torah. It's God who does the choosing, not the man. And interestingly enough, you are going to observe as a principle, when men start choosing, they don't choose very well. We see in many occasions in the Torah one of the very interesting pictures about that was the selection of the king of Israel. You know, when the people choose a king, who they choose? Shaul. And then later on, when Samuel the prophet, went to look for in the sons of Jesse or Yishlach, the sons of Yishlach, he went directly to what the appearances were obvious. The more good-looking, the stronger, the leader type. Okay? And what at the end, finally, he almost gave up. And he complains to our Creator. He said, I don't know if there is any more children from Yishlach. What are we going to do? You know? And what is the answer of the Creator gives? You know, he has another son. Because God doesn't see what is the outside. God looks and choose the person from what is inside. Let me ask you this simple question. Did our Creator knew the difference between Jacob and Esau? Okay? That was obvious. But what happened when men trying to make God's plans better? You know, here in this idea about Jacob and Esau, also we need to look at through the other perspective about our sages, that sometimes we don't talk too much about it. You know, the Torah is a book, it's a revelation of God who gives us principles. But what is interesting is my tendency, is the tendency of our sages and the tendency of all of you, when you read the Torah, what do? You apply it to your times. You apply it on the time that you're living. It's very normal. And this is the reason why I like to teach principles of the Torah. You know, you need to apply to your time that you're living. Now, the sages, they developed this idea about Esau in a very hard times when they were being literally overpowered and they were mistreated by the Roman Empire. And what they did, they read what Isaac says about Esau, that he's going to prevail and he's going to be with his sword and blood, you know. And they say, who was the most bloodthirsty in the Middle Ages in the time of their sages? Rome. And Rome, who substituted real Rome? The Catholic Church. You know, at the time of Rashi, the great Rabbi, even at the time of Nachmanides, also a great Rabbi, they look about the Catholic Church, who for them represents Edom because it was the continuation of Rome, you know, with the Crusades, how they bloodthirsty and they destroyed, you know, or persecuted the Jewish people. They make what we call a projection of certain ideas that were formation. But the truth of the matter is, if we look in the Torah, we don't see Esau as bad as we can portray later on, especially the prophets of reconstruction. Because we are talking about Edom after much time. We see in the book of Bemidbar, Numbers, when Israel is coming back to the promised land, and who are the people who oppose to them to pass? They are the Edomites, you know, and that was creating there what we call was creating a fame, or they were a stereotype that they were really bad. But the truth of the matter is that in the scriptures, in the book of Bemidbar, very clear, our Creator said to Moses, do not touch them because they are our brothers. Then, when we develop, and we can develop fears, not only what I call individual fears, but we can develop community fears. And Israel has developed a community fear against our enemies in the sense of they are going to destroy us. But we need to understand why all of this and where this is coming, all those fears. And let me put a little simple idea. We harvest the mistakes of our own parents. You know? And this is a consequence. And until we cannot stop those mistakes of our parents, but we are going to continue, we are going to continue the mistakes. You know, talking about curses, you know, you will be family has been cursed. How I can cut that curse? Well, already, when you say, how I can cut that curse, you are now in charge. And what you can do is to stop it and then do what is the opposite. Don't continue doing what you were doing before. You see, this is the idea in the principle of the Torah that are teaching all those things. Well, let me go back to Jacob and to this time of struggle. He just left one exploiter and he's gone to another big fear. With Laban, he was fearful too, because Laban had a lot of power over him. We know that he was fearful. Why? Because he never left Laban in a good way. He fled from Laban. You have been exploiting me, and after finally they had the time of meeting, and then it's a time of reconciliation with his father-in-law. Finally, what is the process of reconciliation? We need to talk the truth. You know, we need to speak honestly to each other. You know, many times I have seen that people are upset with each other. I deal with a lot of situations in families, and as a family counselor, I have led with a lot of problems in the family. I want to tell you one thing, and maybe you do not agree with me, but finally maybe you're going to see this truth. The worst problems are within the family. And because we do not deal with the issues in the family, we grew up in a very dysfunctional way. Until you don't deal with the problems in your family, you will never ever be completely free. Because you are going to carry that until you die. Jacob, even when he went to his father-in-law Laban, to his uncle Laban, to find a mate, you know, and his father-in-law lied to him and deceived him, he was harvesting the same thing that he did to his brother and to his own father. Then, he could complain, but as you see, most of the time, Jacob kept his mouth shut. Why? Because he was saying in his head, this is happening to me because I did it to others, to my own family. To make it right, he needed to go back to his brother and to his father, and also confront his own mother, you know, to make it right. Circumstances didn't allow it in that way, but that was the way that he needed to do it. How many of us, we still holding something against somebody in our families, you know, holding and holding. I won't forgive it, I won't look at a person, I prefer he will be dead is better. Now, who is the person who is suffering for that? Yourself. Because believe me or not, you are the one that is caught, you know, trapped in those feelings. And you cannot deliver yourself, you cannot free, because your hate or your desire against something, you know, is consuming you. Jacob had a problem. When he was with his father-in-law, do you see that even that he was deceived, he didn't complain at all when they changed the wives? And he worked quietly for 7 years more. And then when his father-in-law kept tricking him, he never complained. When he really complained, when he started complaining, was the last moment when they confronted each other at the end, when he was freeing from him, and he tells his father-in-law all the evil that he had done. That's when we really learn about how crafty has been Laban with Jacob, and how much he took. And finally here, enough is enough. But how there were two things that happened to Laban. The first one was that he was a divine intervention. Had a dream the night before. He said, don't touch my anointed one, my precious guy. And secondly, was Jacob that was able to tell his father-in-law all that he had done wrong to him. And finally they agreed not to insult. But it's interesting. What Laban said to Jacob in the covenant that they did not to hurt each other and to help each other when they needed to do it. That is just in the last parasha at the end. What did he say? I adjure you that you do not mistreat my daughters or my children or grandchildren. Now, why Laban needs to tell that to Jacob? There is a lot of things there that only we can see glimpses, but are not a totally picture. But it was obvious that he preferred Rachel. And because he preferred Rachel, maybe he mistreated Leah. And Laban saw that. And we see in different little chapters, for example, in the mandrake situation, when Leah complained to Rachel. No, now I want to hire your husband, or hire my husband. No? And there is a sad, bitter situation there. Then, we are home. Let me ask you this question. It is not very difficult for families sometimes that we have favorites in the family. We as parents maybe treat some of our children better than others. There is a saying that the youngest child gets away with murder. And the firstborn child pays for all the sins of the rest. That is almost all psychologists are going to tell you that's almost true. Why? Because the first child is a child that you, as new parents, you are new and you try everything that you think and you're so fearful that you are going to fail, that you're trying to be the mother part. But when the second or the third comes, you are tired now. You see, it's enough, it's enough. Now, let it go. And who suffered all the brunt? The firstborn. And usually the firstborn is strict, is shy, or is tough, And usually what the youngest one it is the gigolo of the family. The free spirit. Goes anywhere and can do anything. You want to see that. Almost in every place. Then, when you see this, then we need to learn from all these situations. And when we learn from this situation, we are going to understand now Jacob, and we understand Esau. Now, here the picture is that was the opposite. The strict was Jacob, and the free spirit was Esau. It's just the opposite. Esau was daddy's boy. Jacob was mama's boy. Here already what it's telling you. We say that we Jewish people, we have something in common. All of us, we come from dysfunctional families. That's like a great thing that we have in our heads. No perfect families. Why we cannot have perfect families? Because then we will give credit to ourselves, say the sages. In that way, if somebody comes good, only credit to our Creator. Not to our parents, to our Creator. Even with Abraham, even with Isaac, and even with Jacob, we are going to repeat the same problem. One after the other. Then we need to learn then where our fears come. And our fears come because we have grew up in a system in which that has become hush hush, don't talk, cover up. And until you get out of that, you cannot be free. again, let me go back to Jacob. Jacob finally made his peace with his father-in-law. They shake hands, they kiss each other, and they leave. Jacob is going to say things that later on, according to our sayings, he's going to regret, especially about the stealing of the teraphims or the idols by Rachel, and then Rachel will die later on because he makes a statement. But even that, everything that Jacob did, sooner or later is going to be repeated on his children. And in this parasha, we are going to see an episode that looks like that it's out of place, but it's there. The episode of Dinah. You know, the rape of Dinah. And you're going to see that most of our sages compare it with the situation of the treatment that he gave to Rachel. You know, Dinah is going to continue that. You know, literally, the same idea is repeated. Why? For one side, Leah was not the beloved one, and she needed literally, when she had the first encounter with Jacob, was almost pushed in that situation. You know, we never know if Leah wanted to be married to Jacob. Some of the sayings that has a lot of imagination say that Leah was for Esau and Rachel was for Jacob, and that will be the beautiful situation similar to if Adam and Eve they didn't get out of the Garden of Eden. No? That was the perfect solution. You know, two sisters for two brothers. No? But that was not the case. No. Our imagination can flow and can go. Let's go back to this situation. We are going to see that constantly the treatment of Jacob will produce other situations. One of the things that caught my attention was when Jacob in this parasha now is going to face the greatest fear of his life. That is the greatest fear. He didn't fear his father-in-law the way that he feared his own brother. And he had good reasons. He literally left running from his house with only the clothes that he had and his own baton, his own rod. That's all. He didn't have any wealth, he didn't have anything. He needed to sleep on the floor and he needed to cover by stones. You are going to see how Jacob came out without anything from his home. And he was fleeing because Esau said, as soon as my father died or something happened, I'm going to kill this deceiver. He literally fled, and he never ever in 20 years had a contact with him. Now Rivka said to him, his mother, don't come back until I ask you. 20 years has passed, no word from his mother. I must tell you something. Now, do you think that why the Torah doesn't say that there even was no communication with Rivka and him? Maybe Esau didn't know where he was. Because if Esau knew where he was, he would go persecute him and kill him. That was a big secret in the family. That's the reason that we see when he approached Esau, what the first thing that he sent his messenger, that is called Melachim, or angels. He sent his messenger that tell you that men, pure men. Some of the saints say that were really angels. You know, he sent it to them, and what he said, you know, I have been Garti, I have been dwelling with, as a foreigner, or sojourner with Laban. Then he didn't know Esau that he was with Laban. That's the reason that he didn't know where I am coming from. Then, now, look at how Jacob is going to prepare himself to face his fear. And this is most of the sayings that tell us that that's the 3 steps that we need to give. The first one it is, when you're going to prepare for war, before you go to war, be sure what you have. and prepare your strategies. When, on what you need to do. Do you remember what Yeshua said in the parables, our Messiah? When you're going to face the enemy or another kingdom, the king, the first thing that you need to know is how they are. If they are stronger than you, what you do? Try to make peace. No? It's interesting. You want to see what Jacob is doing. The second thing that he does, he prays. It's interesting. Everybody would like to say he prays first and then he does. No, the first thing is he is going to get ready. What he's telling here is that I can trust in God, but that God is going to help me through doing things, not to waiting with my arms closed. I need to be prepared to face the enemy. When God gave to Israel the land, the promised land, he said, this is your land. Now conquer it. No? When he made Israel to cross the Red Sea, he opened the Red Sea and he said, I'm going to pass you through flying carpets. No, you need to walk. By the way, it's coming a movie that they say they're very interesting about Moshe. It's already in the Exodus, yes. Now, let me go back. The idea is this: be prepared. Are you prepared? Are you preparing? Then, what he does? Ask God's help, intervention. And the third one, as Yeshua said, if you see that your enemy is too strong, try to make peace. Interesting how he tried to make peace? He sent animals after animals after animals after animals. 550 stock. Man, that is a lot. And the best of the best, sent it to his brother. He was trying to say, please, have pity on me. 7 times he bowed himself. 7 times. And constantly say, your servant, my Lord. Your servant, my Lord. My Lord, your servant. He humiliated himself to the lowest of the lowest. What happened? From that moment to this, there is a time that he has. Just the night before, to face his God or to face his fear. He is desperately trying to do the last things, ordering, you send this, you go this, takes 2 camps, from one camp, put it on one side of the Jabbok River, and the other camp is on his side, put all the women on one side, and then he and maybe a little group that they are going to face his brother, they are going to be behind him. And he said he was alone. The question is, when we say he was alone, means that he didn't have anybody around him, or what it means is he didn't have anything to hold him up. You can be the most lonely person in the middle of a multitude. And this is the idea when the Torah says he was alone. When you are a leader, you cannot think for you. Sometimes will be good sometimes, and you are a very selfish leader. But usually a leader, a good leader, first thinks about the community, about the people that he is responsible for. He cannot think about others or about himself until he thinks about the others. And then he with all this heavy thing over his head, and he's saying, what am I doing? He's going to come and destroy me, destroy my children, destroy the mother, destroy everything. Read about the prayer that he has we are mighty. You promised me this and what's going to be the most. That's what we just finished the reading of the first of the first Aliyah in this morning, you know. And he said, you have promised me that I want to be as the sand of the sea, but looks like that won't be the case. You see, look at this situation. It's like he said, you promised me, but you are not doing it. Why? Because we as men, we are going to doubt and fear until the end. Until that doesn't happen, our doubt, we are humans. We talk about faith, and we talk about trust, but the problem is we are humans. Sometimes those people that they think they are higher than anybody else, those people will say, oh, you don't have enough faith. They do not know what faith is all about. Faith, God will bitachon, and bitachon means we trusting, and trusting means even as I cannot see it, I need to know that He is greater than me. But anyway, and we don't want to give it to the other side yet. Let me come back. We're talking about Jacob in this dilemma, facing his fear. His greatest fear was from the beginning his brother. His brother was the one that was chosen to be the number one, but he felt very deeply in him that he was the one that was chosen to do it. But if that was the case, why our Creator has done nothing about it? I need to do it all by myself. He's stuck up now. Your own fears become of your lack of your own resources and the lack of your own self-esteem. You start becoming, thinking that finally you're realizing, I cannot do it myself. And that was the truth from the beginning. You cannot do it for yourself. Anytime that you're trying to do all for yourself, you are going to fail. You always need the help of the Creator. You know that you lead Him, He leads you. And that's very difficult for us humans. Facing your fear. Until that moment, do you know that once iota, and we can find, that Jacob recognized that he cheated his brother. He never recognized that he did anything wrong. And then he has this battle with these men. Many people say that was real. In my humble opinion, was a dream. And you can fight with me later on if you want to. But in this sense, being a real or being a dream, you're going to see that he fights with this personality, with this men. That's how it's in the Torah, a man. Until the day is coming. And there is a tie. There is no winner. You know? But it looks like that this person that he's fighting is greater than he is more powerful. But what Jacob is demonstrating, I do not give up. I persist. No, doesn't matter. I'm going to keep going because I won't give up. That's already telling you about the character of Jacob. Even if the circumstances are totally against me, the odds are against me, I'm going to keep fighting. And then this character say, what is your name? Now let me ask you this simple question. As many religions say that he was fighting against God, that was God. Why God needs to ask him, what is his name? Does he know what is his name? Does he know if God goes to any place to look for a fight with anybody that he finds in the streets? we need to see the picture. Is this man describing what has happening to Jacob? And Jacob said, I am Jacob. And he said, you are not any longer be called Jacob. Now you are going to be called Israel. Because you have strived, we got a man, and you have prevailed. And the name Israel is a very interesting name because there are so many ways in the Hebrew that you can make it. Yeah? From one that is strive with God, Saraita, okay? We Sar El, mean Prince of God. Okay? Then, all those terms that you can put it in any way that you want it. But what is the meaning? Why he needed to fight with God? Because what he was doing is this. God was doing to him. You need to acknowledge that I have been with you from the beginning. I have given you in dreams. I have talked to you through your parents, the blessings and everything. But you took it on everything on your hands. And you really have done wrong to your brother. Well, all the blessings that supposedly were going to be, that was going to be to Esau, they are going to be fulfilled on Esau, not on you. And you're going to see that there is a reverse. Even that he received the blessings of Esau himself, when the outcome, when he goes and faces his brother, who is the one that is the conquering and who is the one that is the servant? Just as supposedly he was going to be the conquering, the oldest was going to serve the youngest. What happened here? The youngest was serving the oldest. Could be that Rivka misunderstood. I mentioned this at the time 2 weeks ago, that to me Rivka misunderstood. There was something prophetic for the time. But here there is a very important change on Jacob's mentality and mind of doing things that I would like that you grasp about facing your fears. Finally, doing through what he do with Esau, not only he acknowledged that he did wrong, but that he humiliated before Esau. And because of that, Esau totally changed his heart. Because finally, the same way that Laban changed his heart with him, even that God appeared to him, we don't know anything about Esau. But in the Midrash, I read an interesting point of view, that when Jacob prayed to God, he said, save me. You know? Save me. God said, I want to save it in this way. Even that Esau come with all hate to destroy you, I want to change his heart. Even that is a midrash. It's interesting here. Now also we can say that could be a miracle. Our Creator changing the situation because he is the one that's in control. And even that Esau could come with the desire to destroy his brother after he saw his brother and saw how his brother humbled himself before him and all the things that he had brought. He had the brotherly love, the compassion, and his heart was melted. And he cried, hug, and kiss. What the Torah tells us too, is that Jacob never trusted Esau. was not Esau that didn't trust Jacob. It's not interesting. What I'm trying to tell you here, this here, we need to get a very important spiritual psychological teaching. If you have a tendency to deceive, you won't believe even your own shadow. Because there is a saying, I don't know how to put it in English, but every thief thinks that every other is a thief. I don't know, there is a saying like that, you know? That every person thinks that anybody else is in the same condition. The way I think everybody thinks. And most of the time, believe me or not, we judge others by our own experiences. And then, with the time, we need to get rid of those things. When you face your fears, it's face your own realities, your own shortcomings, your own mistakes, your own problems, and then you are going to be free of those fears. Because the fears come from within, not from outside. What we have done to have fear, that was asking myself. And now, I am understanding many things about me. My question is, are you able to do the same thing? Let me finish here. What is right now holding you back? Or what is right now that you feel like you cannot do it, you cannot accomplish it, you are not good for this, or you know, many times we say we have many ideas but we don't do anything. What is the thing that holds us back? What is the thing that we cannot take the next step? And you want to see that it's not the environment, it's not the situation. We are going to blame everybody else around us. The situation is not right, it's not correct, but the fear is within us. And why we have the fear? We need to go back to our way that we were brought up. And we need to go back and to see if there is something in my upbringing, there is something in my nature, that how I was made up through my family, my parents, and my life that were growing up. What made me in this way? Because I can be free only if I acknowledge what I have done wrong. And this goes back to the essence that I've been teaching from the beginning about true teshuvah. Teshuvah means freedom. But in order to have freedom, what you need to do is acknowledgement. What I mean acknowledgement is to recognize the things that we have done, to confess it, to make it right, and to go back again to the way, the right way that our Creator has given to us. What is holding us, what is holding me, has to do with me, not with others, with me. I need to stop blaming others for my own faults. Shabbat Shalom to you.